Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. Third POV. Born near the Shizuoka Prefecture, we can find Midoriya Izuku. Izuku grew up with his friend Bakugo Katsuki, who he called Kaken. They were friends for years until the fateful day that came for everyone. Izuku went with his mother to the doctor to find out his quirk. However, it was on this day that he would find out that his life would take a drastic change. It was also the origin story of the person who would later go on and become the hero of Grace, Deku. Izuku followed his mother into the doctor's office and sat down to wait for the doctor. The doctor named Kyudai Garaki called them into his office and sat them down. "I'm sorry to say that your son Izuku doesn't have a quirk. He has a double-toe joint that shows that he is quirkless. I'm sorry, but kid, you will never be a hero," stated Dr. Garaki, who didn't hesitate in shutting down Izuku's dreams. Izuku froze when he heard that from the doctor. He wanted to be a hero. How was he going to be a hero now? Couldn't he still be a hero? Right? Were all the thoughts that went through Izuku's young mind. Soon Izuku and Inko left the doctor's office and headed back home. Izuku found himself in front of his computer watching the video of All Might as he debuted. Izuku turned around as his mother came into his room, and he asked her the question. "Mom, can I still be a hero without a quirk?" he asked her. All she could do was apologize to him. As Inko sat there hugging Izuku as he had tears in his eyes, Izuku had many things going through his mind. In one world, this is where some of his spirits would break, and he would live a fantasy that he could become a quirkless hero with only training his mind. However, in this world he was different. As the tears came down his face, Izuku was still refusing to give up his dream. To Izuku, not having a quirk wouldn't stop his determination at all. He refused to give in. As such, many thoughts went through his mind, and he decided that he would not only train his mind to be smarter than other people, but he would do his best to train his body to be stronger and faster than most people that would try out for the hero course in the future. It was at this moment that Izuku Midoriya in this world refused to live a life of fantasy and decided to live in the world of reality. He would become a hero one way or another, and he refused to submit. He knew that his life would be harsh with everyone putting him down. He refuses to submit. He will just hide his true strength and mind until the day he can stand up and fight back and be the saving grace for anyone that is in a hard point of their life. Izuku was right. His life did start getting harder. The moment the fact that he was quirkless came out, the teachers were paying less attention to him, and the kids became crueler to him. Even his former best friend had turned on him, and it was in that moment that Izuku Midoriya knew the cold hard truth of this world. People are not born equal. That's the hard truth that I learned at the age of 4, but that was my first and last setback. Izuku younger version said as he had a flashback to his past, as he was being bullied by one Bakugo Katsuki and his friends, more like followers. Izuku was playing in the park and doing some workouts when Bakugo, he stopped calling him Kaken in his own mind, and only did it in front of others to keep up the act of still being friends, so his mother didn't learn about it. Came over with his followers and decided to pick on Izuku. It's only been a year since his quirkless came out, and Bakugo has only gotten worse and worse. First, it started with the light teasing and that horrible nickname of Deku, but soon Bakugo and the others would physically pick on Izuku or other kids. Izuku refused to let other kids suffer at the hands of Bakugo. As such, he always got in between them and Bakugo, even if they didn't like his help due to him being quirkless. Time skip. Third POV. Soon, several years had passed, and Izuku was now 8 years old. Izuku had put plans into motion on how he would become the first quirkless hero. He saw an underground hero by the name of Eraserhead who relied on a support tool because his quirk didn't erase all of the quirks he fought. As such, the hero had to fight quirkless. Izuku had started out with physical training by getting his mother to buy weights. With his mother reluctantly giving Izuku the weights, he now had a range of weights to life inside of his room. However, Izuku didn't stop here. Izuku also found videos online of martial art styles and started to self-practice them since he figured his mother wouldn't allow him to go into a dojo. He loved his mother dearly, but she treated him a bit too much like glass. Izuku also went into the nearby forest and had created physical training grounds. He did this by creating a pull-up bar between two trees with a metal pole he found and was able to jam it into some holes in the trees. Izuku also found a nearby tree that had fallen near his training site, where he would do push-up routines against the tree. He also found a large rubber material in a garbage beach that he took to the forest area and used it as a method to pull himself up and down off a large branch. Izuku would find any material he could to create a makeshift gym inside the forest. He would also go running across the forest since it would provide rugged terrain to train his body on and adapt to uneven fitting while fighting. This training would keep ongoing for several more years as Izuku sculpted his body muscles to become dense and firm. Izuku knew that he couldn't be an All Might where he used strength over skill to defeat his enemies. As such, he aimed to have the best control over his body movements that he could. Izuku trained in several martial arts that he self-taught himself the best he could. Some of the martial arts were Taekwondo and Krav Maga. Taekwondo was learned to help strengthen his lower body, core, and developed greater stamina and endurance. The Krav Maga was learned to help build strength and endurance across his entire body. The hand-to-hand fighting style is meant to neutralize enemies as fast as possible and became Izuku's main fighting style, with the Taekwondo to be secondary. During this entire time, his mother knew what Izuku was planning since she had found one of his journals with his workout plans and a general location of his training grounds. She even went out one day when he went to school and found all the training equipment that he had created. She felt so much guilt about never supporting her son that day. He asked if he could still be a hero, and here he was actually working at doing it. "I'll make it up to you one day, Izuku. For now, I'll let you keep doing what you're doing and support you where I can." Inko thought. Time skip. Izuku POV. I've done a lot of training and no one really even noticed. I've dressed in baggy clothing to keep my physical form hidden from the other students. Bakugo and his lackeys still bully me and others, but the main target is myself. He's even gotten worse in what he's been doing. He uses his quirk on me and burns my skin with his quirk. I know I have a few scars from him, and even one in the shape of a damn hand. Doesn't he realize that he leaves evidence of his crimes behind, and the law that protects him from being labeled a villain stopped last year? As such, everything he's been doing since last year could be deemed an act of a villain, since the law states that 8-year-olds and older should know how to use their quirk within reasonable control. It's also horrible about how the teachers act towards me and what they see. I've stopped trying to report the crimes and have just kept a notebook of every single crime or neglect that any student does or staff person does. I've filled an entire notebook and a half since I've started at the age of 6. The nurses have even become a part of the situation since they would heal all of Izuku's wounds as well. They told him it was to ensure he didn't upset his mother, but Izuku knew that it was to try and hide the evidence of the crimes that were being committed inside the school. Just 2 more years of elementary. Izuku thought, hoping his later years would become better. Third POV. It was the last year of elementary school, and they would soon head towards their middle school lives. Izuku would soon turn 11 in the coming year, and his body would still have more scars across his body from the horrible treatment that he has received from growing up than his own stupid and reckless training equipment that is barely holding itself together in a forest. Izuku was sitting in his classroom doing his normal routine since he had long surpassed this level of education. Even though his grades wouldn't show it since the teachers don't like the fact that a quirkless brat is doing better than their quirked star student Bakugo. As such, Izuku was stuck just sitting in the classroom doing some notes in his hero journals for the future when the class came to an end. The bell ranged and Bakugo and his followers came up to Izuku. Bakugo slammed his hand onto Izuku's desk and screamed in Izuku's face, asking him why he was writing in a stupid journal about heroics when he would never become one. "Damn Deku. Learn your damn place and give it up. You will never get into a hero school. They don't even let quirkless people in. They know how worthless you people are," Bakugo stated. Izuku just kept himself calm, even though some tears went down his face. Even though he was used to this treatment, by now the words and physical violence still hurt. He was just a child, and it still hurt. UA actually removed that rule just last year, so that means I can attempt for it, Izuku stated without stuttering out. Bakugo didn't like this show of disobedience and just grabbed the book and blew it up and tossed it out of the window. "Listen up, you damn Deku," Bakugo said as he placed his hand on Izuku's shoulder and burned it with his quirk. "Don't even think about it, you weak piece of shit," Bakugo stated and went towards the door. Izuku thought he was done, But he wasn't. It was fate for Izuku to learn on this day that his former friend he knew as Kaken is nowhere alive inside this Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo stopped at the door and looked back at Izuku. "Oi, I know a way for you to get a quirk if you want to be a hero so badly," Bakugo said, and Izuku looked up wondering what he was talking about. "If you want quirks so badly, then go up to the roof and take a swan dive off the roof and pray for a quirk in your next life," stated Bakugo with venom in his eyes. The followers were just silent. They helped bully Izuku, but even for them, the suicide baiting was too far for even them. If Izuku did it, then Bakugo's life was over. Bakugo walked out the door and didn't even turn back. Izuku was left alone in the room, frozen. His former childhood friend, who his mother thinks as a nephew, had just told him to kill himself. Izuku didn't know what to do, but his body just started walking on autopilot to get his book from outside. Soon Izuku found it on the ground, and it was burnt and a bit damaged. "Idiot. If I did it, then you would get thrown in jail. The laws don't protect you anymore, and everything you are doing is criminal now," Izuku muttered under his breath. He soon started to walk away and decided to take a longer way home today, since he wanted to calm himself down before he faced his mother. "Can't let Mom know what Bakugo just said to me. It would destroy her. She already has to put up with my existence," Izuku thought while walking down the road. Third POV. In another location in the city, a villain made of sludge had just robbed a store and took off with the money. The people were screaming for help when a figure had walked out of another store. It was the skeleton of a man. This made me transformed without anyone noticing. Like, really? How did no one notice? And it was a hero known to the world as All Might. He said his signature tagline of "Have no fear, for I am here," before running after the villain. However, unlike in one world where the villain would be chased into a sewer and come out to attack a young green-hair kid, this time All Might will miss the villain going into the sewer and will try to find him on land. He would soon arrive at an underpass where he would drop his muscle form since he had lost the villain, but as luck may have it, the villain jumped out of a sewer hole and found a yellow-haired skeleton of a man. All Might POV. "I can't let this villain escape me. I don't have a lot of time today because I already pushed it. Damn it." Soon, I came around a corner and had lost the villain. What All Might didn't notice was the bit of sludge next to the sewer to his side. I need to see if he is in the area, or else I need to report it to the police and have them search for him. How could such a low-level villain give me the slip so easily? After about another 10 minutes of looking, I came to an underpass and decided to drop my form. Looks like he got away from me. I wonder how he did that. I stated out loud since no one was near me. Suddenly I heard a noise behind me and found the manhole cover flying off. "What?" I yelled out as I tried to transform, but I was out of time. I could only cough blood up. The villain that appeared was the damn sludge villain. He went into the damn sewer. That's how he got away from me, I thought as the sludge villain started to rush me and grab me. "Stand still. I need to hide from that damn man." Of all people I had to run into, it had to be All Might, the villain said, and All Might could only find it ironic due to his situation. The villain he chased had come out to attack someone to hide, and he found All Might himself without knowing it. Is there where I die? I thought since I couldn't transform anymore. Izuku POV. As I was walking down the street, I heard a noise coming from up ahead. I looked and saw a green sludge thing attacking an older male that looked like a skeleton. The man was being killed as the sludge villain was going into the guy's mouth, or at least trying to. Suddenly, I felt my body just move. As my body was moving, my mind went into overdrive as it was trying to think of how to stop this villain. I flashed back to my notebooks and the entries inside. I remembered one villain fight where they attacked the eyes because even if the body was liquid, the eyes weren't. As such, as I was running, I grabbed some stuff out of the trash cans I was running past, and I had grabbed some rocks and glass bottles. As I got closer, I slammed the glass bottle onto the ground and broke it into shards. I had planned to stab the villain in the eye. I threw a rock at the villain to grab its attention to provide the man inside a second to breathe. Ow. Damn brat. The villain roared as the man inside looked shocked at what I was doing. As the villain turned to deal with me, I jumped out of the way to avoid the whips of sludge that the villain had sent my way. I moved around them quickly and jumped onto the side of the underpass wall and launched at the villain and hit him right in the eyes with the glass from the bottle. This caused the villain to jump back in pain. At that moment, I grabbed the older male and pulled him out of the sludge villain. The reason I launched myself from the underpass wall was to build up enough force to pull the man out when I went by him. It worked, and the man came pulling out onto the ground with me. "Get behind me, sir, and call the police if you have a cell phone," I stated. What I didn't notice was that the man had suddenly transformed behind me since the villain couldn't see currently, as his eyes were reforming still. All Might POV. As I was dying at the hands of the villain, I heard someone coming. I turned a bit to my side and saw a green-haired kid. The kid threw a rock at the villain's eye, which caused him to loosen a bit and gave me enough breath to live. For some reason, it felt like OFA was reacting to this kid, but I thought I was crazy due to lack of air. Suddenly, the kid jumped onto the wall of the underpass and launched at the villain. The kid had glass in his hands that he had hit the eyes of the villain with, causing them to deform. It was at that moment the villain pulled back, and the kid had come flying by me and grabbed my hand that was out of the sludge. The kid had just saved me without using a quirk that I could tell of. "Get behind me, sir, and call the police if you have a cell phone," the green hair boy yelled. It seems he was putting my safety above him. How heroic. How selfish. Suddenly, it felt like OFA was on fire inside of me. It was like they were calling for the boy. Then I felt OFA grant me more power and allowed me to buff up. The villain's eyes hadn't reformed yet, so he wouldn't know I had transformed. I transformed and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, and he turned around and was shocked. "Leave it to me, kid. I'll finish this up. However, I would like to talk to you after this," I stated as I powered up a Texas smash and nailed the villain, blowing him apart onto the underpass. I used what time I had left and quickly cleaned the villain up into a few bottles that I had on me, and then pressed the lid shut with my strength. Third POV. Izuku was frozen. He had just helped save a man from the sludge villain, and the man had transformed into All Might. Izuku didn't know what was going on anymore. Then All Might had Texas smash the villain apart and quickly cleaned him up and placed him into bottles that he placed into his pants. Then All Might dropped back down to a skeleton man form. "What's going on? Were you not in real danger since you could transform? I'm sorry if I caused you a problem, but my body just moved before I started to think," Izuku asked. All Might looked shocked for a bit, and then had a smile on his face. "No, my boy. I was in danger. You see, I have a time limit of how much hero work I can do now due to an old wound," All Might stated while showing the old scar. "So you didn't cause any problems. In fact, you just saved the symbol of peace from an early death. I do have some questions for you, though. What do you want to do with your life, and what is your name?" All Might asked. All Might POV. I wonder if he wants to be a hero, so I decided I should ask him what he wants to do with his life. I was shocked to say. The boy told me his story. "All Might, I am Izuku Midoriya, and I want to be a hero. I want to be a symbol of light, of hope for everyone that doesn't have a quirk, a weak quirk, or a so-called villainous quirk. Though I know my journey will be hard and near impossible since I am quirkless. However, I refuse to give up and will find a way to do it no matter what, because I will change this society and its views of how it sees peoples without quirks, weak quirks, or so-called villainous quirks," the young boy said. I was shocked. This boy who had just saved me was quirkless. He has so much determination in his eyes, but being a quirkless hero would be nearly impossible. I can't in good concise encourage it. Suddenly it felt like time slowed down. "Don't be a hypocrite, Toshi," stated a voice I've longed to hear again. Suddenly, I saw the image of my master behind young Midoriya. How am I seeing this? I thought. Then she placed her hand onto young Midoriya's shoulder. OFA feels itself being called towards him. It's the same feeling I had when I found you, Toshi. OFA has judged him fit to be the 9th user. Now it's up to you to decide if you will take the boy on and guide him since your current wielder. Just remember you were quirkless as well, and I provided you a means to achieve your dream, didn't I?" she said as she vanished. Then time felt like it caught up again, and I was looking back at the boy. If OFA has judged him fit, then I would like to observe him and see if he has the determination to truly become my successor. I know of a beach that needs to be cleaned, and if I set a time limit for him to do it, then it could be a test. If he gives up, then I know his determination wasn't strong enough to carry the burden of this ancient quirk. If he finishes it, then well, I will take him on and guide him, thought All Might. Then I looked at the boy and started to talk. Izuku POV. All Might was silent for a bit too long. Was he going to tell me to give up like everyone else? Young Midoriya, I will be honest with you. I was about to tell you to give it up and be realistic. However, I can't in good concise do that. As such, I want to give you a test. I want to train you for 10 months, and you will need to clean a beach that is filled with garbage. If you can clean the entire beach, I will make you an offer of a lifetime. But if you fail to do it, then the offer was not meant to be. So what do you say? Want to do 10 months of physical training with me? All Might asked me. I was confused about what this offer would be, but I accepted it regardless. I needed to increase my physical training anyway, and this would be a good route. As such, that started my 10 months of hell. Third POV. Izuku woke up early and talked to his mother about the new training and diet that All Might gave him without telling her about the villain attack or All Might. She agreed to start changing his diet to fit the plan. As such, that is how Izuku found himself on a beach at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. The school was currently out since they were in summer break before he started middle school. As such, he had roughly 4 months before he started middle school again. Remember, at this point Izuku doesn't know about OFA like in the story. As such, this is a test to see if he can carry out the cleaning without knowing the reward. All Might arrived with a truck and was in his skinny form. Hello, young Midoriya. Also, just remember to call me Toshinori Yagi in this form. All Might stated. Hello, Yagi. Thank you again for helping me do physical training. I've done a lot on my own, but I think this will be better to have someone with more knowledge guide me. Izuku said with a fist pump. This piqued All Might's attention. What physical training has he done? He looks skinny, thought All Might. All Might thought this because Izuku was still wearing baggy clothing. As such, when Izuku took his shirt off so it didn't get soaked in sweat, All Might saw all of the muscles. Dear God, he was hiding a lot, thought All Might. Young Midoriya, what training have you done before now? All Might asked. Then Izuku went into talking about his makeshift gym equipment in the forest near his home and how he trained in Taekwondo and Krav Maga by self-studying it. He talked about how he trained his body from a young age due to his plans to be a quirkless hero, and also talked about training his mind and his journals a bit. If he becomes my successor, I need to retouch on the journals and his education because I think he is smarter than his current classes are challenging him at. Maybe Nizu might nope. Stop that thought. All Might thought before scaring himself with the Nizu thought. Soon they got to work on what Izuku would be doing. Young Midoriya, if you want to hear the offer I have for you, then you need to clean the beach section that I have marked off in 10 months. If you can't or give up, then the offer won't be talked about, and we will need to end our training together. What I will offer you would change your plans for your life, and I need someone with a will to never giving up to take on the challenge. Will you meet my challenge, or will you fail? Also, I will be truthful here and now. If you fail at doing this, then I suggest you give up on heroics as well, since you will face far harsher things than this beach. Do you understand? All Might stated without his smile on his face. Izuku only looked up at him and said with determination in his voice, I will prove myself to you and everyone that I can become a hero and achieve my dream of being a light for all those forgotten in this world. Izuku roared back at All Might. First month. Izuku started the American Dream plan and went to work. He started on small things that he could reach and worked his way up to moving larger objects. Since he already had some basic muscle built, it allowed him to work faster on the smaller items in his area quickly. He also worked on training his muscles by lifting weights that All Might provided on the beach. All Might wasn't around the entire time since he had his hero work. He warned Izuku that if he found him slacking off, that he would just end the training straight away. As such, that is how Izuku went about his days during his summer break. During the first month, Izuku focused on moving the objects into the dumpster that All Might had acquired for this project. Second month. Izuku could be seen dragging an object with All Might muscle form on the top of it. There was enough trash that it hid them, so they didn't have to worry about them being seen. All Might was silent, impressed that Izuku could slowly pull the refrigerator with him on top of it at his current body state. It seems he is further ahead in his muscles than I thought. It appears he focused on making his muscles more dense and firm rather than bulking up, which was smart for him if he planned to be a quirkless hero, thought All Might. All Might then looked around him and saw that the trash was getting cleaned up, but was a bit worried about the speed. What All Might didn't notice was that Izuku cleaned up in the area All Might was in only when he was around. Otherwise, he cleaned up closer to the water and moved his way up or outside of the zone he marked. As such, the beach was getting clean up in its entirety. Third month. All Might had given Izuku an increased amount of basic workouts that he wanted him to do, since Izuku was doing the other sets quite quickly. This didn't require much change in the diet plan though, so Izuku didn't have to get his mother to change much. It was just a slightly larger portion size on some things. All Might looked around the beach and saw that Izuku should make the 10-month mark by the skin of his teeth if he didn't slack while he was gone. Young Midoriya, I need to talk to you for a second. All Might called over. I have to return to my agency since I spent so much time here. I need to take care of some things before I can return on the 6th month. I will be able to be here for a longer portion of time closer to that time period as well, so I will be able to be here and give advice. All Might said. Izuku just thanked him for the help so far and said he would keep working at it while he was gone. Honestly, even if he doesn't meet the full deadline and is only close to it, I might still offer him OFA. All Might thought since the boy's determination hasn't wavered yet. Izuku then went back to work after taking a small break and drinking some water. 4th month. Unknown to All Might, Izuku was pushing himself to the limit and was working harder than All Might predicted. He had slowly increased the number of sets he could do in his workout routine, but didn't overwork himself since he knew from past experience what would happen if he overworked himself. As such, he was now at double the sets that All Might had provided him. Izuku also had his mother adjust the portions of his meals to account for the increase in physical activity to ensure he didn't destroy his body due to a lack of energy. Izuku knew to have proper control of his muscles he needed the energy to do so and to fight. Izuku was getting closer and closer to cleaning the entire beach further ahead of schedule than All Might ever would think possible, and Izuku's body was showing the results. He was getting bulkier, but also denser. Izuku kept his martial arts training going on during all of this other training, and even added in a mix of the two combat styles to create his own mix of the two martial arts styles. This was making his body even more prepared. 5th month. 3rd POV. It was now the 5th month of training, and Izuku noticed something. His mother has been looking a bit down for the weather, and he slowed his training down a bit to help around the house more, and took over some of the cooking and chores to let his mother have a break. One day his mother was just sleeping in the living room, so Izuku lifted her up and carried her to her bedroom to sleep. It was also around this time that All Might had returned early from his agency. All Might had arrived at the beach before Izuku did one morning, and he noticed the sheer amount of difference in the cleanup. Dear God, he cleaned outside my marked zone. All Might said, shocked. He also noticed that Izuku worked from the water towards the street, meaning that when he looked in the past, he wasn't seeing the true speed at which the boy was cleaning the beach at all. I'm convinced he is my successor. He's gone plus ultra and did outside the area I marked, and if he didn't, he would be done with my marked area already. All Might thought to himself. Hey Yagi. Izuku called out as he ran up to the beach. Hello, young Midoriya. I'm impressed with your cleanup speed. Tell me where you are at currently and everything since I can see you went outside my mark area and did plus ultra. All Might said with his smile on his face. It wasn't the one he had when he was doing it for the camera or saving, but he was truly happy. He had found a boy that reminded him of himself, but also of his master. He was like a mix between past wielders. The boy had honestly grown onto Yagi without him even realizing it until he went back to the agency and missed having the kid around him all the time. Izuku showed All Might the changes he made to the workout and diet, and explained that the numbers of sets he was given had become too easy to do so. He had increased hit diet and set numbers while also doing the cleaning and keeping up with his self-study of martial arts. All Might was amazed. He had Izuku get to work so he could watch him do all the sets and confirm it all, and Izuku was right. Izuku went through his current sets only with some trouble, and it was 2x the amount All Might had given him. Izuku then got to work on the beach and started to clean. As Izuku was working, All Might came to a decision. If he didn't decide to go plus ultra and go outside the marks, he would have finished the marked area already. Even then, with his current speed, he should have the entire beach cleared by the end of the 10 months, or even before then. All Might thought and knew what he wanted to do. Young Midoriya, please come here, I want to talk to you, he stated. Izuku was nervous and wondered if he did something wrong. Yes, Yagi? Izuku asked. All Might sat there and motioned for the boy to sit on the ground. Izuku, I've known you for nearly half a year now. I've grown used to having you around, and I'm amazed by your work. You went beyond plus ultra and did far enough to clear the marked area. Even though the marked area isn't done, I want to provide you my offer. All Might said. Wait. I haven't finished though. Even though I've been clearing outside the marked area, I'm not done with the marked area still. Izuku tried to protest because he felt he hadn't met his side of the deal yet. Ahaha, don't worry. You will still be cleaning after this and finish cleaning the entire beach as part of the offer. However, I need to make this offer to you, so you know what I'm after in my end goal of training you. All Might stated. Then All Might started to talk about One for All, and how it's a quirk that has been passed down from user to fight evil. All Might even explained a bit about AFO, without telling him the name, but said OFA had a major evil that it was created to fight against, and he had ended the fight during his fight that gave him the wound on his side. So, Izuku, would you be willing to become the 9th user of One for All and be my successor? All Might asked. Izuku was stunned. He was just offered a quirk and a better chance at achieving his dreams of being a light, a symbol for those forgotten in the current society. He wanted to take the offer and do it, but he had one condition. All Might, I am willing to accept, but I have a condition, Izuku said. All Might was wondering what his now successor wanted as a condition. Yes, if I can meet it I will, All Might said. Izuku was silent for a bit before he looked at All Might in the eyes and said, if I am to be the 9th, then we must tell my mother. I don't care about others, but I owe it to her the truth. Let me explain before you say number 1. My mother had to raise me by myself after my father abandoned us because I was quirkless. Even though she says he's overseas, I was awake the day he left and heard him yell at her that he was leaving her if she kept me. 2. She was there when I got my medical results. She knows that it's medically impossible for me to have a quirk. So this would cause her to create theories if I used drugs or something to achieve it. We don't need her doing that and taking me to a doctor and having them look at my blood now, do we? 3. If I'm going to be the 9th user, then the secret is no longer just yours, but mine as well. As such, I have the right to have my own people who know the secret on my side, as I'm sure you have your own that you trust. Though, I request you inform me before telling anyone that knows already about OFA about me being the 9th, stated Izuku, and All Might wanted to object about telling someone else, but knew that Izuku was right. All Might himself had people he trusted, and Izuku's reasons for his mother were very damning good ones. It would be troublesome if people started to look into Izuku's blood and figured out the quirk could be passed somehow. As such, that is how Izuku and All Might found themselves at Izuku's home in front of Inko Midoriya. All Might POV. Izuku had convinced me to meet his mother and tell her everything. I was a bit nervous since this could make or break Izuku becoming my successor, and I needed to tell her anything she wanted to know and ensure that she approved of this newfound connection between Izuku and me, or else I got to start from ground zero and lose my connection with Izuku. I've grown really damn close to the boy over these 6-ish months that I've been around him. Was this how Nana felt when he started to train me? I thought as I walked up to the door with Izuku and knocked on it. Soon someone came to the door, and it looked like a female version of Izuku. Damn, they look so much alike, I thought. She noticed Izuku and asked why he didn't just come in when she noticed me. Third POV. Oh, hello. Sorry, I didn't notice you. Inko said to the person standing next to her son. Mom, can he come in? We have something we want to talk to you about. Izuku asked his mother, and she looked worried but let them both in. Soon they found themselves sitting on the couch in the living room as Inko was making tea for everyone. All Might had a suit on that could expand with his transformations and shrink back down to his smaller form. He had his friend David Shields make it so he didn't need to wear baggy clothes all the time. Sometimes he forgot to wear it and would wear his baggy clothing though. Thank you for letting me in, Mrs. Midoriya. All Might stated. She just told him it was no problem and then asked what they needed to talk about. Mrs. Midoriya, I need to be honest with you. I've been training your son for the past few months, and I've made an offer to your son. Your son will only accept if you are informed of this decision. As such, I'm here to reveal several national security secrets that I need your promise to keep silent about. All Might said, which worried Inko about what her son got involved in. What exactly did my son get involved in that it's related to several national secrets? Inko asked worriedly. All Might then transformed into his buff form and said his tagline. Have no fear, for I am here, he said, and held his form for a few minutes before dropping it. Hello, Mrs. Midoriya. I am Yagi Thoshiorni, or you may know me as All Might. All Might stated. Inko was just shocked, and then looked at her son, who just rubbed her back and nodded his head, confirming it was true. Okay, that was surprising. What exactly does this have to do with my son, All Might? Inko asked, a bit shocked, but still a bit worried. All Might then explained the offer he made to Izuku and Izuku's condition that she be told about the quirk. He explained how Izuku had saved him and told him his dream of being a hero, even if he was quirkless, and then talked about the challenge that All Might had set for Izuku to complete. Mrs. Midoriya, your son went plus ultra and cleaned outside of the marked area, and has done enough to have cleared the marked area in 5 months. If he keeps at it, the garbage beach will be fully cleaned in the 10-month period, which is far better than I requested. Your son has the determination and will to be the 9th user of OFA. As such, will you please give me your blessings to take your son under my wing as my successor? All Might asked and bowed his head. Inko was surprised and shocked at all the new information she learned, but still had some questions. A quirk like OFA doesn't exist without having its enemies. I understand, but I have some questions I want to ask first, and I want truthful and full answers, Inko said. Then she asked if OFA had any grand destiny to completely. You are smart like your son. Yes, it did have one. The reason I say did is because I already finished it as the 8th user. It's how I ended up in my current state. The quirk starts back since the dawn of quirks, as I said, and stated with the first user. However, what I didn't say is that the first user was the brother of Japan's first supervillain who lived. Since the dawn of quirks, he wanted to rule Japan, and it was the mission of each user to stop him or die trying. I finished that mission when I caved his skull in during our fight. He is dead, All Might said with determination. Inko was scared about the fact that it did have an enemy, but relieved when All Might said with a determination that he had finished the person off, and it wouldn't be Izuku's job to do it anymore. Since the goal of OFA is gone, then what's its current mission? Inko asked. Its current mission is just to inspire good in the world and to fight for justice. I used it to become the symbol of peace, but Izuku's goal is to become the light, the hope for those who have been forgotten by the current society. Those that are quirkless, those with weak quirks, or quirks that society calls villainous. As such, its goal, its purpose will be to fulfill that role until he finds his own heir when he gets close to retirement. All Might stated. Inko was happy with this, that All Might didn't seem like he would force Izuku to live how his own dreams. Soon Inko asked a few more questions before she came to a decision. Izuku, I'm sorry I didn't support you all those years ago. I've known that you were always training to be a quirkless hero since I found your journal with your workouts and the location of the forest gym, which is so unsafe, mister. However, I can support you here and help you with this. All Might, I'm okay with you taking my son under your wing. Inko said. Izuku and All Might just jumped up in joy and hugged each other before realizing they did it. They both were embarrassed, and Inko just laughed at them. They act like each other a lot. I wonder if they started to see each other as father and son? Inko thought because she always regretted her husband abandoning them and lying to her son that he just went to America. Soon Inko and Tashinori got to know each other more and just called each other by their first name since they would be seeing each other more often. Izuku had gone to take a shower as Inko started dinner. Inko then had another question. Tashinori, you said you have OFA. What is your other quirk? Inko asked, and All Might froze before talking. I'm surprised you asked. I'm actually quirkless like your son, Tashinori stated. Inko was shocked to find another quirkless person since they are rare nowadays. They talked a bit more before Tashinori decided to ask a question. He knew that Inko was a single mother and wondered what would happen to Izuku if she ever passed away. Inko, I have a question and I hope I don't overstep. Izuku told me the truth about his father leaving due to him being quirkless. He told me he was awake the day he left. As such, I'm asking as his master and male figure in his life. What happens to Izuku if you were to die suddenly? I'm worried about what would to him in that event. Again, I don't mean to overstep, and I'm sorry if I offended you. All Might said while muttering a bit at the end. Inko was shocked. She was shocked that Izuku knew the truth about his father, but never said anything. I guess he didn't want me to worry. Izuku was always like that. Inko thought, and then looked at Tashinori. In the event of my death, his guardianship would be offered to my old friend Mitsuki Bakugo. What? Inko asked. All Might froze. Izuku has told him some parts of his past, but not everything. One thing he muttered below his breath that he thought All Might didn't hear was something about being bullied by a Bakugo Katasuki. All Might knew quirkless people had it rough, but didn't know how bad it got in this day and age. As such, he's been looking up the stats lately and was disturbed by what he has allowed to start happening to the quirkless people. He had power and did nothing. He had just forgotten about the quirkless roots he had and didn't look back. Inko didn't like the look on his face when she said Bakugo. What am I missing? Inko thought. Inko, I can't tell you anything really concrete currently since Izuku has only opened up so much about it to me since I was also quirkless. We've only talked a bit on the beach today, and Izuku is placing a lot of trust in me when he tells me these things. So please don't try to confront this issue, or he will close up on letting this information out to me. I do have concerns about something I heard Izuku said when he thought I couldn't hear him, and it was something about bullying from a Bakugo Katsuki. I'm not telling you this so you can confront it. I'm telling you this since you plan to leave Izuku in their care. I would like to offer myself as his future guardian if something were to ever happen to you. There are many reasons for this. I admit I have come to care for him far faster than I had thought possible. I see him growing into my life as my son if you would allow that to be possible. As such, I would like to take care of him in the event something happens to you. I'm not asking this just as his mentor and him the 9th user of OFA, but as a possible father figure in his life. All Might asked while bowing his head. Inko didn't know what to think. She knew some people picked on her son, but he always refused to talk about it. She always thought he still had Katsuki to help him, but it turns out that he is one of the people bullying him. Dear God, I almost left him to defend himself in a home with a bully if something ever happened to me before he was old enough to take care of himself, thought Inko. Soon All Might tapped her shoulder to bring her back to the real world since she was so shocked. I'm sorry if I overstepped. I just needed to bring the concern up since Izuku said you raise him by yourself, and I had my concerns on where he would go. All Might said in fear that he just screwed things up. Inko just patted his shoulder. It's fine. I'm glad you asked since I just learned I was going to leave my son in a hostile home. I don't think Misaki would ever harm Izuku, but knowing Katsuki's explosive personality, then I'm afraid of how much he is bullying him. Please be there for Izuku since he is starting to talk to you about it. He never mentioned anything to me. Also, I don't have any problems with you taking him if something happened to me. We can set up the paperwork to alter my will and have the paperwork done to grant you his guardianship unless he declines it. Then he would go to the Bakugos. I'm reluctant to leave him to go to the system, so I think it's slightly worth the risk currently at leaving Mitsuki as the second person behind you, if that's all right with you. Inko said. All Might agreed, and said he was happy that she was even considering it. He had no problem with her being left in as long the guardianship was auto-assigned to him, first with Izuku having the right to decline him, then it goes to Mitsuki. Soon Izuku came downstairs with no knowledge of the conversation ever happening, nor the plans that would give him some light in his life later on down the road. Third POV. It was now the 6th month of training. Izuku had gone back to cleaning the beach since All Might wanted to wait on giving the quirk to him until after he had finished cleaning it fully. Izuku, the power you are receiving will be even greater than what I currently use. Each time OFA passes, it gains more and more strength. I received it at a far weaker point than I currently can use. You will get a far stronger version than I did. As such, we need as much muscle on you before I hand it over. Once the beach is cleared, we will transfer it and try to train. I'm expecting a few broken bones, but between you and me, we should be able to figure it out. If not, I'll call my mentor who trained me after my master died since he knows a lot of OFA as well and is a good teacher. All Might stated after finishing the dinner that night, he met Inko. As such, Izuku was back on the beach. The training was also increased in different areas. All Might had Izuku increasing the number of sets he did and provided Inko money for all the food budget. She attempted to reject it, but All Might wouldn't have it. I'm going to take care of Izuku any way I can. If giving you money for his large eating habits that he will have now helps, then I will do it, he stated. Soon Inko gave in to the money since All Might made another point that he earns far more than he will ever spend. With it being the 6th month of training, it also meant that it was time for Izuku to start going back to school. It was time for him to start his middle school classes. Izuku dreaded this since it would just mean going back to the bullies. Izuku had opened up more and more to All Might since he found out that he was quirkless as well. Izuku wanted to compare his current suffering to All Might's and see if it just has gotten worse over time for the quirkless people, and it turned out it did. One day while they were eating ice cream at a parlor shop near the beach, Izuku decided to ask Toshi. All Might had Izuku start calling him this when in skinny form. About his quirkless past. Toshi, what was growing up like for you? Izuku asked. All Might looked over and knew this question would come sooner or later. Izuku, I can't say it's like your life growing up. Quirkless people were more common, but still rare back when I grew up. I didn't even realize how bad it got according to the statistics I recently looked up. I'm sorry I never did anything, All Might said while putting his hand on Izuku's back. Izuku at that point knew that it has gotten worse for his generation. So I guess you never got suicide baited or grades sabotaged by the teachers and beat up day in and day out, Izuku stated with sorrow-filled tone. The moment Izuku said what he did, All Might face paled. He knew the numbers he saw in the reports, but Izuku just confirmed his fears. No, I wasn't. The worst it got for me was verbal bullying and some physical. I did get beat up here and there, but not day in and day out. All Might said, could you tell me more about your current life, Izuku, so I know how to better help you emotionally? I can do the physical easily, but I need you to let me in so I can better help on the emotional scars and trauma that life has given you. All Might asked Izuku while hugging him. Izuku then started to talk about how his doctor visit went and how his former best friend turned on him. I used to call him Kakin, but I stopped in private and only did it to him and others that my mother would find out from. I knew she had a harder life due to me. People distanced themselves from her after Hisashi left, and she only had Ani left. As such, I never told her since I didn't want her to be alone because of me, Izuku said. He then talked about the nickname that he was given, Deku, and how teachers would call him by that, and everyone else would unless they were in front of outsiders. You know, that sounds a lot like Deku, meaning you can do it. I think taking Deku as a hero name would be an amazing idea and help take back some of the issues from Deku, All Might suggested, which made Izuku smile and hug closer to All Might. Izuku then talked about how people would beat him up and their quirks on him day in and day out, and how the medical staff would hide it by healing it. Even though they healed it, the scars are still there. My body is littered with them, Izuku said with some tears coming down his eyes. All Might wanted to see the scars, but knew it might be too much currently. Izuku soon talked about the suicide baiting. It was on the last day of elementary school. He destroyed part of my journal 13. It was the day I saved you from the sludge villain. He had just destroyed my journal and then told me a way I could get a quirk. He said that he knew of a way for me to get a quirk. If you want a quirk so badly, then go up to the roof and take a swan dive and pray for a quirk in your next life, Izuku said. All Might just put down his ice cream and just full-blown hugged Izuku at this point as he was crying. It's going to be all right, son. It's going to be all right. I'm here, and I will start helping you deal with these issues. I just need you to trust me with them, okay? All Might asked him, and Izuku agreed. I need to know. Did you consider doing it, or are you cutting, or anything? I need to know so I can get you professional help so you can properly heal. All Might asked, and Izuku said he didn't. His determination was too much to be a hero, though he did admit it hurt badly and did do some damage to his mind with that thought inside his head. All Might was pissed at the Bakugo kid and the previous school. He wanted to go on a warpath. As such, he decided to slowly build a case with his friend the detective. Son, if you receive any bad treatment at middle school, I want you to tell me so we can document it. I plan to pull in a friend that works with the police, and we will start to build a case slowly to be sure we get everyone involved that can be charged, All Might said. Izuku was hesitant. I don't want to destroy anyone's dreams, though, Izuku said with some tears. All Might loved his boy's heart, but found it too much in times like this when his own self-interests were put aside in his mind. Son, I promise you that we will leave room for the kids to survive, but the adults can't. The punishments will vary, and I need you to trust me and the system to work. However, if they are deemed unsavable, then their dreams are only on them since they made the choices they did, All Might said. Izuku agreed and told All Might about his crime journal he had kept over the years. All Might was so happy when he heard about it. Then they both realized what All Might was calling Izuku this entire time. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable, he said, but Izuku just accepted it and said he liked it. I like you calling me that if I can call you Dad. Please, Izuku said, and All Might just hugged him and said it was okay. 6th month. Both All Might and Izuku could be found on the beach training. It was getting closer to being done. There was only a little more left to do, and All Might predicted Izuku would be completed by the end of the month. All Might had talked to Inko during this month, also while Izuku was at school. Inko, I'm here to talk to you. I did bring the paperwork for the guardianship. The first one grants me partial guardianship currently. This is in the event that Izuku is injured or something, and I can't get a hold of you, nor could you get to us in time. It will allow me to make decisions for him. The second paperwork is the full guardianship, which will take effect in the event you die. It states that Izuku had the right to reject this paperwork, and his guardianship will go based on your will, which will state to me first, then the Bakugos. The reason for the second one, even with your will, is because I confirmed my theories about Katsuki Bakugo. All Might said. Inko was a bit scared to learn the truth. I'm not going to tell you everything, but just take anything you can think of and make it 3x worse. Izuku is trusting me to keep it a secret at the moment and start working with a police detective I'm friends with. Izuku is allowing me to build a case against his old school for everything they did, and it's really bad, Inko. I'm also going to his room and getting a notebook with a large list of crimes that they did against him or others. All Might stated. I have my idea of how bad, but I really need to know how bad, she asked him. All Might just sigh and said a few words. It's bad enough that if Izuku didn't have a strong will and such strong determination to be a hero, he wouldn't be here. Inko, have you ever looked up the statistic for quirkless people? I did last month and I suggest you do it. It will paint the picture itself. All Might stated. Inko then pulled her phone out and looked them up. After about 10 minutes, her phone dropped onto the table in fear. She couldn't believe how blind she was. How blind she was to Katsuki Bakugo in regards to her son. Thank you for entering our lives, Toshi, or else I would never have known and could have lost my son, Inko said. She was truly grateful for him entering their lives. She pulled her will out and finished the paperwork that required both of them to sign, and they left to go have it filed. As such, All Might was now the partial guardian of Izuku Midoriya and would take full guardianship in the event of Inko's death. However, none of them knew that the paperwork would come into use so much sooner than they thought possible. It was now the end of the 6th month and the end of the 1st month in middle school. Izuku had finished cleaning the beach one weekend as All Might arrived. All Might saw Izuku standing on the top of the final trash pile that was on the entire section of the beach. All Might was proud. It took him 6 months total, and he had finished the marked zone and the entire beach. OFA, we have found the 9th user, thought All Might as he felt OFA roaring inside of him like a burning blaze. OFA wanted to be transferred, and it wanted to be transferred now. It wanted its 9th wielder. All Might grabbed Izuku off the top of the pile, and then quickly moved everything off the beach since it was only one pile left. Good job, son. I've removed the last part so we can just get to what we need to talk about. I want you to look at this beach. It was through your hard work and yours alone that you cleared this entire beach. I gave you 10 months for a small section, and in 6 months you cleared the entire section. All Might stated. Izuku looked across the beach and was stunned himself because he had been focused on just cleaning and not taking in the view. It was night and day between the two. The sun was rising on the horizon and the beach was cleared. I did it, Dad. I did it, Izuku said with a smile on his face. During the months that Izuku spent with All Might, his confidence has been built up by All Might slowly but surely. All Might knew it would take a long time to get it in a good shape, but it was moments like this that showed it was working. Son, you indeed did do it. You have earned your right as the 9th successor more times than enough. OFA is a special quirk, as I told you. What I didn't tell you was that the quirk has some sentience to it. Echoes of the previous wielders live inside the quirk itself and watch over us. It was on the day we met that you were also chosen by OFA as a candidate fit enough to be the 9th. As such, it was my job to decide, do I present it to you or not. I proposed this beach as a challenge of your determination due to how much weight this quirk carries, and you have proven capable of being the 9th. Now it's time for the transfer. Eat this, All Might said as he pulled a hair and gave it to Izuku. Izuku was not amused, unlike All Might. Dad, wash your hair, Izuku groaned out as he took a drink. They soon sat down and relaxed for a bit since OFA would take a bit to come through his system. So son, how has the middle school been so far? All Might asked. Izuku told the truth that not much has changed. People still bully him physically and verbally, and the teachers are just the same in their treatment. Izuku then took out his bag of makeup removal liquid and spread it across his body. All Might was confused for a moment before he saw what was happening. He saw the scars. There were quite a few scars that someone Izuku's age shouldn't have. There was a mark on his shoulder, a hand imprint on his side, a few sunburst-shaped scars across Izuku's back as well. There were just too many for someone his age. All Might asked him if he could take pictures to give to the detective, and Izuku agreed. About an hour after waiting, the quirk activated inside of Izuku, and he could feel it. Dad, I can feel OFA, Izuku said. They got up, and All Might started to talk to Izuku about how OFA felt for him. OFA is an energy-based quirk in regards to its raw strength. You are pulling from a pool of energy, and if you use too much your body breaks. I was able to use 100% because it was much weaker back then. We need to figure out how much you can use. All Might stated. Izuku then got up. He then felt the energy in his body and pulled it into his arm. It hurt to use too much. So he imagined it as a dimmer switch and turned it down and down until he reached a point it didn't hurt. It felt like 25%. I think I got the power control. I imagined it like a dimmer switch on a light and turned it to 100% and just lowered it until it didn't burn to go through my body. I think it's 25% currently. Izuku stated. All Might was shocked that they got the power control down so quickly, but was glad since it meant less broken bones. Izuku then threw a punch at All Might, who had buffed up. The punch sent him moving back a bit. Yeah, that feels about my 35%, which adds up. Your OFA is stronger than mine. So your 25% is 10% stronger than mine, which is a lot of power in the grand scheme of 100%. All Might said, though he noticed Izuku was a bit stiff using OFA. He brought it up, and Izuku talked about how he's trying to move it quickly to each body part to use it. All Might had an idea of what he was doing wrong, but wanted Izuku to learn slightly on his own to get a grasp on it. I think I got an idea, but I want you to try to figure it out in the next month before I tell you my idea. Sometimes it's better not to get all of the answers. You have power control down now, you need to figure out how to use it in your body correctly. All Might said. Soon they decided to take a break and return to Izuku's home to show Inko Izuku's new quirk and to enjoy some dinner, since All Might spent a lot of time at the Midoriya's house now since he's taken a more father role in Izuku's life now. So, this was the end of part 1 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.